Welcome back in, everyone, to the Lucky Bets podcast with Dylan Corbett in here today. Dylan, you know, looking at the lines and everything from the past few weeks, I texted you the other day. I'm doing a pretty decent job of calling some upsets or, picking the underdogs. And we had
Yes.
quite a few of those last week. You had the Jets over Green Bay. Second week in a row, Green Bay gets upset by a team from New York. Uh,
Yeah.
that one I cashed in on at 270. You got Indy over Jacksonville. Uh, I don't know, if we can call that an upset, but hey, maybe we hyped up Jacksonville a little too early.
Sure.
That's what I'm thinking possibly. And then yeah, the Giants over Baltimore. How about that?
I think I tweeted out the stat the other day where it's like the Ravens now have led incredibly in 3 or 4 different games and have managed to lose all of them. The ones that jump out, the Dolphins, obviously, back when Tua was still there. You had a collapse against Buffalo, right? Okay, that happens. Buffalo might be the best roster in the NFL. But then the Giants and the Jets too, or well, for the Ravens, yeah. It's certainly not what they had in plan. It's really, I just had the thought the other day, we might talk about it on my show, but it's like, you know, is a lot of the NFL just kind of bad right now? Like you look at the Giants, like, okay, they're 5-1. Everyone's joking that's the worst 5-1 football team in NFL history. Here's the Ravens. They were up 35-14 at home versus the Dolphins in the fourth quarter, lost. 20-3 at home versus the Bills just before the half, lost. 20-10 versus the Giants most recently with 7 minutes left in the game, lost. The AFC North looks like a jumble pit. I don't know, like, which 3-3 team do you kind of buy in on or sell on between the Packers, Rams, Buccaneers, all these teams we thought would be at the top, throw the Bengals in there. It's been confusing. We always kind of sound the alarms with the Chiefs in slow starts the last couple of years, and they always find their way there at the end. So maybe that's what I'm kind of thinking with the Bucks. But who knows? We kind of take it at a week-by-week basis at this point.
Speaking of the Bucks, they lost to Pittsburgh this past week. You also had Seattle beat Arizona, Atlanta beat San Francisco. Very, very big upset week for the NFL.
Atlanta remains perfect against the number, by the way, too. And not only covering, they win the game. Yep, that was another one. And yeah, the Steelers, I just kind of questioned, I think, last week. I'm like, why is that line on this show? Why is that line 7.5 after the Steelers got blown out by Buffalo? Well, we figured it out. So there it is.
Right. Yeah. So last week, cashed in on the New England line, the Seattle line, and the Jets line. This week, I'm looking at maybe just two. I've got some on here that I'm like, just to point out. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't be. So I like the Giants against Jacksonville. Yesterday they were sitting at plus 143. Jacksonville hasn't shown much. Giants are 5-1, maybe. Saquon doing a whole lot. So I like the Giants there. Jets against Denver. I don't understand why Denver continues to get to be the favorite in games, but they are. So I'll take the Jets plus 118 there. Indy over Jacksonville. Let's go with that one plus 135.
Hey.
Oh, wait, hold on. No, that can't be right. Who does Indy
For
play?
what? Indy has Tennessee, so divisional
Tennessee,
opponent.
yeah.
Yep.
Tennessee, not Jacksonville. But Indy's still the dog in that one. Taking them there. And then just a couple to point out. You got Washington. That line's pretty small up against Green Bay. I mean, 192 isn't the smallest of lines, but that's pretty dang small when you consider how bad Washington has literally been. And then, the past couple of weeks with Green Bay. That's kind of an interesting line to look at. And then, Carolina, they're plus 400 against Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay just lost to Pittsburgh. So maybe that's an enticing line for some people as well.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with the Panthers. I mean, they fired their coach and they still can't. Usually that kind of galvanizes the team. They have a surprise win or at least a cover. No such luck against the Rams this past week. And the Rams have been nothing special. So I don't know what to do with the Panthers. Is it a get right game for the Bucks? I'm kind of staying away from that one. I am heading to a game that you like. I'm all over the Commanders here too. I mean, look, it was the Bears. Look, Carson Wentz is gone. Is that maybe better? We've seen
Yeah.
Heineke do it.
Hmm.
All of a sudden there's no pressure on him. He can just come in and game. All the pressure is definitely going to be on the Packers. They look like a shell of themselves. And now you got Rodgers yelling at LaFleur. LaFleur coming back the next day doing, what does that even mean? Like, there's obviously still a rift there. Rodgers is just, he's his own soul. I don't know how to feel about Rodgers anymore. This dude is just out there. So yeah, I like the Commanders with the points. This opened at 7. It's already down to 5.5. Or at least, sorry, it went from 3.5 where it opened to 7. Now buy back down to 5.5. Again, these lines open up like before the season. It's the NFL where only that's the only sport where you have lines all throughout the season before it actually happens. I don't know what to do with this Broncos team. They were the right play in terms of covering against the Chargers, 3.5. Did you see that DK? You want to talk about bettors getting hosed? Did you see that DraftKings promo with Justin Herbert?
No.
So DraftKings, I think, put on your tinfoil cap. I like always just kind of not assuming, but always, giving thought to the conspiracy theorists of the world. So Justin Herbert has thrown like 23 straight games with a touchdown. And you see, these sports betting companies, DraftKings, FanDuel, they're always trying to get new customers by doing boosts, which are just total traps. Like the one that I remember was for March Madness last year. They go boost Purdue, like minus 1,300. You get them plus whatever if they win outright against St. Peter's. And then you had the 15 seed win outright. So Justin Herbert to throw a touchdown pass, which would be the 24th straight game doing so, was minus 800. That gets boosted to plus 100. You got to imagine every single person with a DraftKings account just threw money on that. He did not throw a touchdown. So DraftKings probably pulled in close to 500 million or something astronomical on that bet alone. Right. Something's up with boosts. That's my fair warning. We're not legal in Minnesota. I don't know how it is. Do you guys have DraftKings, or how does it work up in Deadwood?
So you can pretty much do all the betting, but it's only in Deadwood.
Right.
If you're doing DraftKings like DFS, you can do it just at home, but
you don't have mobile betting, right?
Right. Exactly.
So, okay, it's in person. So yeah, less and less boosts kind of pop up on your phone. Those are just total traps. Avoid those as you can. Some of them are going to cash. They'll throw you a bone every once in a while, but more times than not, they're trying to get you. That was crazy.
Right. Well, good another piece of advice there. So definitely appreciate that. But yeah, that's really all the lines I had. I think the Kansas City and San Francisco spread is pretty interesting as well. It was only sitting at 3 yesterday. So
yeah, I was on Kansas City, unfortunately, against the Bills. I don't know what it is that are in the regular season. They just Bills just squeaked that one out. Shouldn't they? I'm trying to figure out the Chiefs had a shot in that one. Maybe I'm thinking of a different game. I like the Browns for what it's worth against the Ravens. We just talked about how they like to collapse a lot. Look, the Browns got blown out by the Patriots. Patriots they'll do that to anyone if they want. So I think Bailey's happy. I think it's a great spot to buy low on the Browns. I saw it at 6.5. I imagine that line has moved maybe a little bit. I don't hate the money line either. It's at 6.5. Yeah, so Browns, Commanders, I'm with you. And then I'm keeping an eye on this Broncos line. I don't know what to do. It's just so much. Everyone's piling in on the Jets. And again, the Broncos could have won that game against the Colts at home. Broncos probably could have won that game at the Chargers. It's just there. If they're -1, I might have to pounce on the Broncos and hate it every second of the way. But
yeah. I think I'm just going Giants, Jets, and Colts. We'll stick on those. All right, so 2 DFS from last week.
Did you get me?
I finally got you.
Oh, yeah.
Tied up 3-3 now. 130 to 104. Again, I was putting the line or putting our numbers together. You start out with Josh Allen and Ramondre Stevenson, Kenneth Walker. I'm like, oh shit, here we go again. And then you kind of threw up the stinkers at the end
Yeah.
with your tight ends, and you
Oh.
actually got -4 for your defense. So that didn't help you either. But got the win there. Now this week, normally I'll put these together for the show, and that'll be it. I'll just put it together for the show. I won't actually put it into the pool. This week, I'm putting it into the pool.
Oh, you got to toss it in
Really
there.
like it,
I love it.
and why not? Let's go for that $1 million or whatever the prize is. We're gonna start with old Joe Burrow at quarterback going up against Atlanta, 24th against the quarterback position. He's projected 19.8, 6,900. Looked good last week. Another fun matchup. So I'm jumping on the train. It's got to be another good week.
I in that Ramondre Stevenson. So remember we talked about the trade where Ramondre, I think it was Ramondre and Everett and Thielen, I believe, for I can't remember, but basically Chase went off. He was the fantasy top option. Stevenson won me the week, so I don't hate it. He was a good one for. I totally forgot where I was going with this though. He was offering Burrow in there for a straight up swap for Herbert, and I should have freaking taken that.
Yeah.
What am I doing? Yeah, I was toying with Geno Smith. I was a little disheartened with his performance against the Cardinals. Cardinals actually are not a half bad pass defense, so I don't know.
Right.
I was thinking about moving him out there, but I think you're going to hate this even more because I'm going Burrow.
Damn it.
Quarterback.
I was stuck here between Burrow or Prescott because I could have put either one in. Prescott, my only concern is hasn't been in since week 1.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, is he actually even going to play? We haven't gotten an actual answer on that yet.
Right.
But assume he will. How rusty is he going to look? Because I think that's even a better matchup going up against Detroit when you can just throw all over Detroit, but I just don't know how rusty he's going to be. So sticking with Burrow there. Sounds like you are as well. So
yeah, note on Dak. I saw I think it might have been a 10-team league. But somebody dropped Dak, must have had to make a room for a roster spot like 2 weeks ago. I snapped him up. And good thing I did so because this might be a power move that might win me the title. I'm top of the league right now. What are we at? 5-1 right now. And I'm gonna start Dak over Rodgers. Rodgers is killing me lately, but so that's a little fantasy tidbit.
Name off your running backs because I need to look and see if let's go.
What do you got?
In the league that I am 0-6, somebody dropped Tua Tagovailoa, and guess who just picked him up? And he's gonna save me from Zach Wilson.
That's huge. See, Tua was another one where it's like you look the waiver wire, see if some of these guys were dropped. They didn't have the roster spots, and now you're reamped.
And I'm getting DeAndre Hopkins back.
Yes, sir.
In every single league. So let's go. Let's get it. Okay. Running backs. We're going with 2. I really love. Again, I just love this whole lineup. Running back. We're going with Josh Jacobs. Going up against Houston, 32nd against the fantasy running back position. He's projected 17.7, 6,500. And if I look back at my notes, before the bye, he had back-to-back 30-point games. So give me that. Give me some of that. Houston, they give up 24.5 points to the running back position. So I love that play. And then maybe I'm just going to the well one too many times, but I picked him up for actual fantasy, and he helped me out last week. Kenneth Walker going up against the shitty Chargers rushing defense. They're 29th against the running back position. He's only projected 13.6, but you can still get him for a cheap price. And if you can buy a touchdown for a cheap price, sitting at 5,800, I really like it. And he's coming off back-to-back weeks with a touchdown. So I I like it. I like those
Yeah.
two running backs, and there's not one that I'm like, stinky.
Right. Yeah. It's for me, I'm going Jacobs as well. I mean, the numbers are right there coming off the bye. You said it. It's a right matchup against the Texans. I mean, people lick their chops as running backs getting to face the Texans. Yeah, I'm kind of going a little bit more balanced as opposed to my previous weeks where I kind of stacked Cup, Allen, seeing if maybe we can get rid of those snowflakes that DraftKings likes to put on your bust players there for
Right.
this league. So I've got Jacobs, and I'm going to go with Mixon there. Not exactly a stack, but I'll stack kind of the well, I guess I am down the line going pretty heavy Bengals. Yeah, so I'll go Burrow, Mixon, Jacobs there for the first three.
Gotcha. Like it. Like it. Wide receiver. I'm assuming you probably have this guy in your lineup as well if you just said you're Bengals heavy, but we're going with Jamar Chase going up against Atlanta. They're 30th against the wide receiver position. He's projected 19.3, 8,200, and he's coming off of his 32-point wide receiver one performance. 22 targets in the last 2 weeks, which you know me, of the targets,
Oh yeah.
of that number. And Atlanta has given up 3 30-point games to wide receivers so far this year. So that's just a recipe for Jamar Chase getting another. Let's take Debo Samuel going up against Kansas City. They're 28th against the wide receiver position. He's projected 17.8, 7,600. I don't know. It's just Debo Samuel. He's going to do everything and everything.
Yep.
And then my last wide receiver, CD Lamb, going up against Detroit, 25th against the wide receiver position, 18.5 and 6,800. Like I said, Dak's going to be back. I think this is a great week for the Cowboys as a whole to just put up some fantasy points. And, maybe if you like Detroit, you can throw in some fantasy things for them as well. But Dallas's defense is pretty good.
Yep. I'm going Lamb as well. I like that. You were in the right area, but different receiver. I'm going T. Higgins. Look, he was banged up. Wasn't sure if he was going to play. Tyler Boyd put up okay numbers. Higgins had an okay fantasy game. I pretty much, I think I benched him in almost every league. It didn't really hurt or help me, but look, I like that you brought up Debo Samuel too, because AJ Terrell, this is the one part I miss about being a Falcons fan, even though they kind of look somewhat better than the Colts right now. This dude is shut down. Like there are some young corners I'm loving in the league right now. Tariq Woolen, I think's the rookie for the Seahawks, who has 4 straight interceptions. You'll love this. I'm in a fantasy league. I was thinking about leaving it. Now I'm kind of obsessed with it. We roster a full defense, like literally a full defense. It's crazy. And it's like, I'm kind of all in on it. So he's been carrying my fantasy team. But Terrell, I mean, he shut down. I don't know if he was following Samuel, but he certainly limited them and helped the Falcons win. Is he going to do that to Chase? Okay, Chase, yes, the targets are there. Yes, the huge fantasy day was there. If they wrap up and make a tackle, he's not number one, right? He busted free, ran 50 yards down and got his second touchdown. Chase is still awesome, but I like Higgins there for a little bit of value. So I've got and more balance, kind of my theme to the lineup this week. Lamb, Higgins, and a guy I am taking a flyer on for DFS and in fantasy I'm targeting season long. Donovan Peoples-Jones, not a household name,
Okay.
but he's turned into the legitimate number 2 option in Cleveland, right? They got to throw to somebody, and they're going to, who do they have this week? But they're going to, right, against the Ravens, they're probably going to have to throw in that one to keep in that game or come from behind. And who knows, if Cooper's having a tough day, maybe all of a sudden Peoples-Jones is the guy.
Right.
Hoping for 10 points, maybe a touchdown, and that turns into a nice play. There's my bargain, but that's my 3 receivers.
Yeah, he's somebody even going back to last year I really wanted to believe in. He kind of all he was last year was the Marquez Valdez-Scantling for Browns.
Yeah.
Good to see that he's, kind of being able to progress out of that and actually be a valuable asset, at least at the quarterback. At the flex position, I originally was really scraping the barrel here. I originally had Geoff Swaim, Swame,
Jeff. Yeah, Jeff Swain.
Jeff.
Yeah. That's a weird way of spelling Jeff. That's pretty good.
But either way, yeah, it's like who? So reworked some things and was able to get Will Disley
Yeah.
as my tight end, going up against the Chargers, who's 14th against tight ends, projected 5.5, only 3,000. And then pulling a U here, we're going Mo Alley Cox for the flex, going up against Tennessee, 28th against the tight end position. And let's just keep in mind, the last time Mo Alley Cox played Tennessee, I said, Mo Alley Cox, who? And he said, Mo Alley Cox, 26 points. That's what we're going with this week. Let's get another 20 spot going up against Tennessee. I like that there.
I can't figure out this tight end room. It was Jelani Woods who had the touchdown that may have been a push off against Jacksonville. I like your play there because I am the double tight end connoisseur, but I'm staying away from it this time. Not this guy though. I'm plugging in Hurst again just for the value. A stinker snowflake last week. You really don't know what you're getting with any tight end these days outside of Andrews or Kelsey. And then for my flex, I'm going to stick Walker in there. I mean, this dude might turn into Breece Hall, Ramondre. I mean, it's his backfield, right? And I think the potential there is get him while he's cheap now because that DraftKings price is going to keep going up. So that's my lineup. I will say, so that's my official lineup. I will say if you were thinking to go cheaper on quarterback like a Geno, that could get you an Eckler over Mixon if that moves the needle a little bit. That's my only kind of waving point. I might make two lineups, but for the official show, we're going with Mixon. And then to wrap up mine, bit me last week, Jaguars, negative points against my Colts. Why am I going with the top defense again? The Titans. What is his number? They're the most expensive defense. Matt Ryan is second in the league in passing. So something's up. I'm always I'm going to put him in there. Titans are my play. But I'm always, in the NFL, you play your divisional opponents twice, once at home, once on the road. Water always finds its level. Colts got blown out at Jacksonville, beat them at home. Colts lost at home versus Tennessee. We kind of both think they're going to go to Tennessee and win this week. But I'm going to play their defense because Matt Ryan always has a way of throwing interceptions or fumbling.
Fair enough. Sticking with the Panthers from last week. The absolute dirt cheapest defense because they're going up against Tampa Bay. But who's to say Tampa Bay is not susceptible to turning the ball over or having a dud week? I mean,
low-scoring team.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Pittsburgh's defense scored last week, but they won the game and they held them to – I can't remember what exactly the score was, but they didn't hold them to, a lot of points. It was a lower-end points. I think the Panthers are an okay play, especially if they can at least force a couple turnovers against Tampa Bay. So what I'm going with, hopefully pull out another one against you. But let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 4 of the same people on the lineup. So it's going to come down to our other 4 being different.
There we go.
So it'll be interesting to see. We'll have to get into that. But prop bets. I did not write down the number because I don't care anymore. You're kicking the hell out of me with it. Let's see. 28-20 points wise, Dylan is at. This week, we've got a theme. We're going the injury bug and people coming back from the injury bug.
Okay.
So at the quarterback position, we're going to start out with Dak Prescott. He's been out since week 1. Coming back, is he higher or lower? 300 total yards versus Detroit. They give up an average of 302 per game.
That's tough because it's like I feel like he could still dominate Detroit by throwing less than that. I'll go over though. Detroit's just they're Swiss cheese on defense. People are going, I love Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell's the man. What are we doing? He's doing the same thing this year. He stinks. People get too caught up in their emotions with their sports. I don't understand it.
Yeah. I mean, it was it's fun to watch Detroit football, I think.
From a fantasy standpoint, sure.
Yeah. And this
And if your team's playing them,
and say sitting here, I'm like, if I take higher than 300 total yards, why am I not putting Dak into the DFS?
mm-hmm. Maybe he does it on the ground, but then also maybe he doesn't do it on the ground because
Yeah,
he's got the
we're going over. At the
yeah,
very least, you don't gain any ground on me if he does.
fair.
So we'll go both higher there. Now we're going to Tua out since week 4. Um, is he going to be higher or lower? His fantasy projected points 17.9. Pittsburgh gives up 21.3 per game.
Sorry, what was his total?
17.9.
Steelers finally just won a game without TJ Watt for the first time in his career. Dolphins, all of a sudden, they're all the way back down. People were thinking they were an AFC contender. To Waddle, what's his status? I'm going to go under. I'll go under
You're
there.
gonna go under. I'm going over with it. You know, the Steelers defense, they've seemed like they should be fine, especially when it comes to pass defense.
Mm-hmm.
If you have Minka Fitzpatrick sitting up there, just Troy Polamalu and everybody, it should be fine. But last time Tua played a full game with at least Tyreek Hill,
Yeah,
and Jalen Waddle, we remember how that went. So I think he gets at least into the 20s, kind of need it. So we're gonna go over there with Tua. Jonathan Taylor out since week 5. How much can you say that's an injury bug? But it is
right.
an ankle. So
Yep.
higher or lower 100 total yards going up against Tennessee. They give up an average of 114 a game. Jonathan Taylor only has one game over 100 total yards.
Keep an eye on this. Taylor and Hines were kind of a surprise inactive, I would say. That's like they came back in a limited fashion and then decided to take it easy, which was kind of a gamble in a game they needed to win. Okay, they got in, got out, did that. Look, Jackson looked great. Deion Jackson saved a lot of fantasy lineups. Now he's questionable. Nyheim Hines coming back. I think they're going to be cautious if Taylor does play, and I'm going to go under.
Yeah, I like the under there anyway, regardless of how healthy he is, because he only has one game over 100. They don't run the ball when they need to with him anyway.
The line's been so bad. Like
yeah.
the run offense has been putrid.
So I'm going under there as well. Next guy, pretty excited about. I made a trade for him, and he's been on my bench the whole time because he's been hurt. DeAndre Swift, out since week 3, higher or lower his average before he went out 16.9 against Dallas, who only gives up 13 a game.
I'm going under. Injury plus the Dallas front 7, I think, is a recipe for destruction. And they're going to have to throw in that one, I feel like, Detroit.
Yeah, I'm feeling the under there as well. I think the only way he can hit is 1, if he stays in the game the whole time, and 2, if he catches passes. Other than that, it's going to be really tough for him, especially just on the ground itself, because Dallas is a tough defense. So we're going under there as well. This one, not an injury, but he hasn't been in the whole season because he's been suspended. DeAndre Hopkins, we're going higher or lower. His fantasy projected points this week, we have nothing else to go off of. He's projected 14 going up against New Orleans, who gives up about 25 per game to the wide receivers.
I'll give you some tidbits here to keep an eye on, or at least just to think about. 1, DeAndre Hopkins, I think, posted to his own Snapchat story, "Start me in fantasy." Okay, take that for whatever you want to do there. Is he on a snap count? That's something that's been floated. Could hurt him, but you've got Hollywood Brown out. Yep. So now there's more targets, right? I just, he's healthy, right? We're thinking he's healthy. Also, the last thing I think would be to look at the Saints if they have Lattimore, if he's fully healthy, because I would assume he would be on Hopkins. You know what? I think he catches a touchdown and goes over. because that's where they like to use them. Look at the split stats from Kyler Murray with Hopkins in his career. Without Hopkins, it's pretty drastic, and it's in the red zone. That's where Ertz had been living. I think Hopkins is a much better option there within the 20. Yeah, let's go. I'm with you. I've been stashing Hopkins in a league. I'm starting him. I think this is his time.
Yeah, I'm going higher there as well. This is where I think the Cardinals are at right now. They are at shit. We've got a losing record. We're falling behind in the division. We've got to do something different, and that something different is going to be D-Hop back now.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to almost force him the ball, maybe a little too much, straight out of the gate. I think as much as he is in, Kyler is going to be looking there, and if he sees any sort of separation, he's going to be throwing it. This could be a really big game for Hopkins. And like you said, he's healthy. It's not like he's coming back from some sort of injury. I think he's going to be going higher there, and I'm hoping a lot higher. I'm hoping we get a top 5 performance out of this man, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen is the next guy up. Hasn't played since week 1. If he does play, higher or lower, wide receiver 15 versus Seattle. They give up an average of wide receiver 21 and 16 points a game. So Allen inside the top 15 this week.
Something's up with that Chargers offense, even though the Seahawks are putrid. You got this guy Woolen or Wooten or whatever his name is, who's electric. Is he going to follow Williams? Surtain absolutely shut down Williams. Are they going to give Williams that treatment again? Or with Allen back, will he get that treatment? Yeah, injuries scaring me. I traded away Allen, so I'm low on him. I'll go lower.
Right. That's what I'm going as well. I think even if it was Mike Williams in this spot,
yeah,
I'd still go lower. I'm not even confident he's playing because he's, again, on one of my fantasy teams. He should be playing.
Yeah.
But he did this a lot last year too of maybe I'll play. I'm out for 6 weeks, but I'm gonna maybe play for every one of those games. So not too confident he is gonna play, but if he does, I still think he's outside that top 15.
Yeah.
Then we get to the tight ends, and there's really no big time injuries that have happened. So, just a couple guys that are questionable. We got Pat Fryermuth with a concussion. Third. I just read that yesterday that it's his third of his NFL career, and he's in his second year?
That's brutal.
He's 23 years old. There's a limit, isn't there, for concussions?
Yeah, there should be. It's great. We all threw our arms up in the air for Tua, and now, Nyheim Hines has a concussion. Concussions are everywhere. Just look at the sport. It's tough. I don't know what that number is, but should be lower probably.
So if he does play, is he going to be higher or lower? 3 receptions against Miami. I'm going with for both these guys. I just wanted to put, do they play or not? That's what I wanted it to be. Yeah. But 3 receptions against Miami.
Yeah. It's starting Johnson, Pickett. Harris is all of a sudden catching touchdowns out of the backfield. I'll go under 3.
If it is not Kenny Pickett playing, then right. If Kenny Pickett's in, I'm taking the over. Okay. Kenny Pickett's not in, I'm taking the under. Pickett also has a concussion, I believe. Is that correct?
I think that is, yeah.
Yep, Pickett with a concussion. So the way that the NFL has been going, I don't think he's going to play this week. So I'm going to go under as well, because for some reason you have a drastic difference when it comes to quarterbacks. If you got Trubisky in, it's Claypool, Johnson.
Yeah.
Pickett in, it's Pickens and Fryermuth. So
interesting.
Big drastic difference. So I'm going under there. And then Darren Waller, was he out week 5, or did he just was he hurt throughout the game and just continued to not do anything?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both, right? Is he going to play through the bye? I saw floated out like, what if he was done for the season? I think we're going to learn a lot more over the next 2 days. But you said what's his over under, or you haven't even got to that yet?
I haven't gotten there yet. Hamstring injury. So again, hate the hamstring injuries. Uh, Higher or lower, 50 yards, 50 receiving yards against Houston.
And it's against Houston. I'll go under because I don't think he's going to play.
Yeah, I'm at the same position. I just, can we just not have hamstrings? Can we take those
Yeah.
off everyone's bodies
Right.
and just figure it out from there? Uh, yeah, I'm going under as well. Let's see. We're sitting here with just one different this week, the Tua bet. But
How about that? Great minds think alike.
yeah, I mean, quite a few people you should be excited about. One league I have Dak and Tua just sitting on my bench, so I get the choice of who I want to play off of that. Taylor, Swift, Hopkins, Allen. We're not excited about that one, but the first few, pretty excited for those guys to come back and see how that goes. For
Yeah, and a critical bye week in fantasy too.
Yeah, I mean, how about that? We're gonna
Mm.
see what some teams are made of when you don't have Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, AJ Brown,
Cup.
uh, Cup, Jefferson, uh, Jalen Hurts. Gonna see
Yep.
what some teams are made of this week. Because most of the time, those teams that have those players don't really have any depth. So
Sure.
this is where we get interesting, and I really need it to start getting interesting. I'm 0-6, so I got to make a run, not lose again, and maybe scrape into the playoffs. We'll see.
Yes, sir.
But that is it for today's show. Check everything out with Dylan underscore Corbett, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. He's all over the place. Go check him out and check me out on his show every once in a while. I believe this week we're talking UFC as well. So
Yes, sir. We got our usual fantasy tidbits, and then we've got arguably the card of the year. And set your alarms. It's Abu Dhabi, so it's an early one, but excited to get down to business with that card with Ricky Larson. Yes, sir.
heck yeah. All right. We will see you tomorrow for the game day show. And then we'll see Dylan next week for Lucky Bets once again. But that is it, everybody. Thanks for joining. We will see you next time.